if you want to change and or grow, which is basically the same thing, you are determined by knowledge. You need knowledge in order to do whatever you want, in order to reach your full potential. And not only people that tell you what to do, people that tell you mechanisms, that tell you details about how something works, about how we work, and that's exactly what this account is for. I'm explaining you mechanisms in the brain that explain to you how something in real life works, why it works that way, so we can use it, so you can use it in order to grow, in order to change and become the person you dream of becoming. So let's explain, first of all, that when I tell you, do a handstand push-up, just do it, bro. Just go for it. Do a handstand push-up. You know what a handstand push-up is, but you have no clue at all how to do it. And if I understand you, the mechanisms, the details about engaging your core, about kind of your fingertips, that you want the pressure on your fingertips, that how you kick up, the details, you know the point, you get the point, then something changes, because then what I want to do is changing to how I'm going to do it. And of course, you need someone to tell you how to do it in a very detailed and complex way, or in a repetitive way. And you need yourself to use that knowledge and implement it into your practice, implement it every day again. So if I tell you something on this YouTube account, it doesn't work in a way that after this YouTube video, you are a completely different man. But the knowledge you get from what I'm telling you is making you a completely different man if you engage with it, if you use it in your everyday life and repeat the knowledge, repeat the mechanisms. And that's exactly why today we talk about growth, we talk about discomfort. And first of all, the brain is not made for today's times. It is not made for the modern times where we want to become our happiest, most fulfilled, most successful person. The brain has developed in order to survive and reproduce. That is the two main things that humans, and therefore the brain, has evolved for. And modern times have started maybe some centuries ago, and millions of years the mechanisms were the same. Millions of years the brain was focusing on reproducing and surviving. So nothing with that has changed. Just everything around us has changed, but nothing inside of here. And that's why we have to understand what is going on inside of there, so we can use it and work with that knowledge in order to become happy, in order to become someone that we want to become. So that's why knowledge and mechanisms are so important. And in terms of discomfort, because our brain has evolved and developed to become or be as efficient as possible in terms of surviving, the brain hates uncertainty. There's nothing more the brain hates than not knowing what will be going on, than not knowing and not being able to predict something. And that's exactly what uncertainty is, right? It's the complete opposite of being able to predict, because you just have no clue of how something is going to turn out, how something is working out for you, if it's good or bad. And in surviving today, it's a bit different, but in survival mode, it meant not knowing what was going on simply meant risking death, because you were just talking and thinking about, if I have no clue what's going on, man, maybe there's a fucking, I don't know, leopard waiting for you in the next corner if you don't know how the path and where the path is leading to. And that's the same thing with today. You just don't know if something is turning out well for you. And now onto growth. Let's just understand growth from an angle on the brain. Growth is building new networks. Growth is building new neuronal pathways, building and connecting in the brain, building new synapses, making a network more complex, more fixated into the brain, into our consciousness. That is what growth is about. And this building, this complex changing of synapses, this complex changes of billions of synapses is taking so much energy. Our brain needs I don't know the exact percentages, but I think 20 to 30% of our daily calories, just our brain, if we don't do anything, because it's so complex. It takes so much energy in order to maintain and change everything inside of here. And that is why in survival mode, food was limited, calories were limited, glucose was limited. And that's why our brain tried everything in order to minimize growing, in order to minimize changing and working inside of here, because it did not want to waste energy. And the growth we see as growth today as what we want to have in our everyday life, in order, because we want to become someone that is valued by society, someone that is valued by our family, by our principles. And for that to happen, we need growth. In order for that, we need change. We need changes inside of here. And our brain does not care at all. But we know, our consciousness, because we are so blessed with the consciousness, we know what is good for us. Our brain doesn't. We know it. So in order to make growth possible, we have to make change in here possible. And our brain hates it. Like I said, our brain hates wasting energy. For the brain, it's growing. For us, is simply wasting energy. So our brain tries everything in order to manipulate us to not grow. And that is exactly the definition of staying in the comfort zone. Because staying comfortable means that our brain has already built networks, already knows what's going on. Like I said, already can predict how something is going to turn out. And then we don't need lots of energy, because our brain is not in need to build. It's able to predict. It's able to make you stay safe, stay alive. That is exactly why we can use it as a signal. As a signal when we are staying comfortable, our brain has already built. So when we're staying comfortable, we are not growing, because our brain is not supposed to build. And so that's such a fucking great mechanism. Like, this knowledge is so unimaginably valuable and helps me so much every day. Of course, I know more than I do, because also for me it takes time to implement knowledge. I know lots of things, but also implement these things, implement this knowledge every day, because I want to fixate it. I want to deepen the neural networks in my brain. So why I'm sharing it to you is because it changed my life so much. It changed my everyday life. It changed how I see every single day. And now onto the situation again, how I see growing, how I see discomfort. Because now I know that stepping into the uncomfortable is not something some David Goggins is telling you because you should just do it. Just fucking do it. Just grind, just grow. No, man, I understand the mechanisms. I have the knowledge that stepping into the uncomfortable, facing the uncomfortable, is making me grow, because that is the definition. The brain, when the brain is not able to predict something, it has no idea of the uncertain. That's why when you step into it, the brain has to build. The brain has to build new networks. Let's just say, in a real life example, it's in new people, it's a new workplace, it's taking a new decision in your everyday life that you normally do not take, because you're scared of losing, you're scared of risking something, and you feel this uncomfortable feeling of, no, better not. And now you see this as such a different feeling. It's not, oh no, this will feel bad. It's, no, my brain does not want me to grow. That's why this feels bad. That's why my brain tries everything to manipulate me in order to stay safe, in order to not waste energy, which is pure growth for us. So facing the uncomfortable, stepping into discomfort, facing discomfort, is the definition of growth. Because our brain has to build the networks, our brain has to build new synapses, and that's everything growth is about. Of course, uncomfortable feeling and fear is still preventing us from injury, is still preventing us from death as well in today's situations. But there's still so many situations where we can now use this knowledge to analyze the situation. Does it cause this uncomfortable feeling because I will be stepping out of my comfort zone? I will be forced to build new synapses, build new networks in my brain, which is exactly what we want to. Or is it a situation where I'm just risking my health, where I'm risking my other people's health, or whatever? You know the feeling. So now, because you know the mechanism, because now you know a lot more detailed information about why something feels uncomfortable, that is causing growth, why growth is facing uncertainty. And for me, it was, for example, where I was in Vietnam, facing uncertainty was aligned with flying into a city, into a village where I didn't know anyone, where no tourists have ever visited the village. People were just looking at me, staring at me, and that's where I was growing so very much. And it was 1 week. It was just pure beauty because that was kind of my proof how beautiful uncertainty is. Because I was just having such great experiences I would have never experienced if I would have stayed in the areas where the tourists are. But because I stepped out of my comfort zone, I stepped out of where I know what is going to happen, I was making such beautiful experiences. I was experiencing such powerful growth. It was really, really crazy. So that's why now, because you know the mechanisms, you see the signal of this uncomfortable feeling very, very different. You now don't see it as an uncomfortable feeling. It's another video that feelings should not determine how we take decisions, because feelings are temporary. But this uncomfortable feeling will not fade. It will not go away. But your consciousness about what this feeling causes and why it's there, that is what changed, and that is the only thing that matters. Because now this feeling is anchored with analyzing, is this situation causing me to build new neural networks or harm myself? So we have to analyze, we have to think about, is my brain, are these instincts working for me? Or are they not working for me, and it's just instincts? Because the brain cannot comprehend what's going on in today's society and cannot differentiate between real danger and emotional danger that is possibly a very uncomfortable presentation, a very hard decision, a very hard talk with a person we don't like, that we know of doesn't like us, for example. So that's exactly what this feeling is about. That's exactly what this video is about. Now you know the mechanisms, now you have the knowledge, now the situation is anchored where this feeling arises, but your reaction, your analysis changes. And of course, not only because you watch this video and you have this knowledge, everything changes, and every time you face the uncomfortable, but now you have the foundation for building the networks yourself. You have the foundation for realizing what's going on. Now you have grown a tiny bit, but with implementing this knowledge, with implementing these mechanisms into your own life, into the individual situations of where this uncomfortable feeling arises, then the real growth happens. And that's why I'm saying knowledge is key. Knowledge is the absolute foundation. So you get to know what's going on, how something is working, and how you can change it and work with it. Knowledge is the key, but your consciousness is key for implementing this knowledge and using it for the own benefit. And as a summary, I want you to anchor the feeling, this feels uncomfortable. Not only with what I was saying, with the analysis of, is it really dangerous for me, or is it just my brain trying to prevent me from growing? And I want you to use this thought, man, this feels uncomfortable, this feels shitty, I don't want to do it, because it just feels, what's going to happen, I have no idea. I want you to use this thought for defining this right there. When this uncomfortable feeling arises, this right there is exactly where I belong. This right there is exactly where I have to go in order to become the person I want to become, because this right there is causing me to grow. So you anchor this uncomfortable feeling with the signal of, this is my opportunity right now in order to become the best version of myself I have ever been.